Okay, you've now completed your needs analysis and developed your learning objectives. You're now ready to design the actual learning experience. In this lesson, you'll learn about Robert Gagne and his levels of learning. We'll also talk about the 9 events of instruction and some of the presentation methods that can be used for each event. Robert Gagne is an American educational psychologist, best known for his Conditions of Learning for Training Applications. In 1965, Gagne published the book titled The Conditions of Learning. In this book, he explained the relationship between learning objectives and instructional design principles. According to Gagne's theory, there are 5 major levels of learning, including verbal information, intellectual skills, cognitive strategies, motor skills, and attitudes. Each of these levels requires a different type of instruction. Take a look at the table that lists each learning outcome with appropriate examples. Even though Gagne's level of instruction covers all aspects of learning, his theory mostly focuses on intellectual skills. Based on this framework, Gagne developed a 9-step process known as the events of instruction. Together with the 5 levels of learning and learning outcomes, these events provide the necessary conditions of learning and play an important role in the development of instruction. Start by gaining your learners' attention. This gives learners a framework into which they can organize the content that will be presented in the lesson. This instructional event is also used to motivate learners. To gain your learners' attention, you can use icebreakers, slideshows, case studies, storytelling, or even simple charts and diagrams. Inform learners of objectives. During this phase, designers should describe what learners should be able to do at the end of the course and what tools they may be using. Objectives should create expectancy and describe the structure of the lecture. PowerPoint slides and discussion boards can be used in this step. Stimulate recall of prior learning. Here, the instructional designer should relate the new lesson to situations that learners are familiar with. For example, the previous lesson. To stimulate learners' prior knowledge, you may review previous lectures, incorporate previous information into activities using slides, and even use audio recordings, discussion boards, and graphics. Present the content. In this stage, the instructional designer should describe the key points of the lesson using a variety of techniques. Designers should try to vary the format in order to keep the learner's attention and to increase comprehension of the material. This can be done through lectures, articles, activities, discussion boards, blogs, podcasts, YouTube videos, or storytelling. Provide guidance. At this point, the instructional designer should present the lesson in small steps leading from simple to complex ones. It's important to begin the lesson with easy-to-understand information and add more difficult information as the lesson progresses. This gives learners an opportunity to build on their existing knowledge. As a result, they'll understand the material better and retain more content. To provide learning guidance, you can incorporate the following activities into your lesson. Activities that include rubrics and state clear expectations, demonstrate principles in action, discuss common errors, or even present case studies and analogies to your learners. Elicit performance. Here, the instructional designer should involve learners in discussion and questioning to confirm that they have learned the material. Learners' active participation should also increase understanding and retention of the material. Discussions, case studies, simulations, drills, role plays, and interactive questions are all excellent ways to elicit performance. Provide feedback. As learners respond to questions, instructional designers should provide them with reinforcement and remediation. Offering immediate and detailed corrective feedback is an important part of learning. Assess performance. To confirm mastery of the objectives, instructional designers should include quizzes or other assignments in their lessons. Performance can also be assessed through games, essays, and relevant hands-on projects. Enhance retention and learning transfer. At this point, instructional designers should provide the opportunity for learners to apply the outcome of their training in a real-world situation. For instance, they may give learners some type of realistic assignments, along with additional practice activities and exercises. They may also provide a desk guide or job aid that learners can refer to at any time when they perform the tasks presented in the lesson. The 9 events of instruction is an excellent framework for any lesson. Even though it isn't always possible to incorporate all 9 events into the lesson plan, you should at least consider them when creating their courses. Now, let's take a look at a real-life example that illustrates the application of the 9 events of instruction to a hypothetical situation. Mrs. Jefferson is a human resource specialist at the X Corporation. Upper management made a decision to purchase the Snagit screen capturing tool, and Mrs. Jefferson is now responsible for ensuring that all technical writers know how to use it. Mrs. Jefferson has a lot of other responsibilities. Therefore, she decided to make this training available in the e-learning format. She followed the 9 events of instruction to create her course. Gain attention. When learners access the lesson, the senior technical writer appears on the screen and introduces the course. She explains the importance of staying on the cutting edge of technology and how the Snagit tool will be beneficial for their career as technical writers. Inform learners of objectives. After the introduction, the objectives slide with the voiceover appears. One of the objectives on the slide is, upon completing this training, the learner should be able to use all features of the Snagit tool without further assistance. Stimulate recall of prior knowledge. At this point, learners are called upon to use their prior knowledge of other similar tools to understand the basic functionality of Snagit. Present the content. Next, using screen images, Camtasia demonstration, and audio narration, the training program describes the basic features of Snagit. Guide learning. With each new feature, learners are shown a variety of ways to use them. Complex sequences are chunked into short step-by-step lists for easier storage in long-term memory. Elicit performance. After each function is demonstrated, learners are asked to practice with realistic simulations. Provide feedback. During the simulation, learners are given guidance and feedback as needed. Assess performance. After all lessons are completed, learners are required to take a post-test. The assessment questions are tied directly to the learning objectives displayed in the lessons. Enhance retention and learning transfer. Upon completion of the course, learners are presented with a downloadable desk guide, which includes step-by-step instructions on how to use the Snagit tool. See if you're able to follow the 9 events of instruction to create a lesson plan for your e-learning course. Remember to include motivational examples and activities.